Hello. Happy New Year. Finally, 2022 is over. And I don't honestly think anyone's happier to see it be over than me. Today's video is going to be a little bit on the outlandish side, probably even for me. I'm going to talk about our internal music. I'm going to talk about the motherboard of our electromagnetic field working alongside quantum signals coming cosmically into the universe, filtering down into the body and working with our body's DNA. And I'm losing my voice for some reason. And how our own body's positive, negative charge works as a battery. And I hate not making eye contact, but the amount of information coming in the last couple of days had to be written down. So the body's positive negative charge works as a battery. This is our own internal masculine feminine aspects of energy that I've been talking about for the past 2 years. So we'll start with that, just to let you know what this video is going to be about. Now, I want to say before I get started, and those who have been with me for a while already are aware of my lack of indoctrinated education. Those that are new to this channel may not be. So I'm going to start now and here with a disclaimer. I have no idea if anything that is about to come out of my mouth is science, quantum physics, biology. I have no idea of what the things I'm about to tell you are true, and the fact that the words and phrases I'm going to be using. Now, I've been getting some things about quantum physics, science, and biology for the last couple years, and when I've tried to look those things up, I just become more confused. So I know better than to try to look those things up anymore, so I won't be doing that. And I do apologize that I will be looking down, but this was a lot of information. I wanted to start with that disclaimer. And you guys are awesome. Nobody ever comes on here and tells me, hey, I don't know what you're talking about. Quantum mechanics, science, you're completely and totally whatever. And it's true. I almost am educationless when it comes to the indoctrinated education system. And that is why, most importantly, I'm giving this information, because when I receive it, I take it as the truth, the way I see it, or it comes to me in words, it comes to me in phrases, it comes to me in music, it comes to me through all of my senses. So the best that I can do is describe to you what my recent experience has been. So just like me, I'm sure that, I don't know, I should not even say anything. I'm just throwing a disclaimer out there that scientifically, the words, the phrases that I'm going to be using may have nothing to do with what I'm talking about. So I started this vision several days ago by seeing a toroidal field with a human stick figure in the center of it, with a negative charge at one end and the positive charge at another end. And what I saw was that our human body is a superconducting quantum electromagnetic circuit. Okay, that's the first thing I saw. Disregards in my words and phrases that have zero backing in physics, science, quantum physics, or even biology. Please and thank you. So, essentially what I saw is that we are a human body that is a human magnet we are a human battery within an electromagnetic field. Our battery is what pulls in this electromagnetic current, meaning energy, frequency coming from the cosmos through the sun, through planetary alignments. Any kind of cosmic energy that's coming into our planet is going to be felt and assimilated to by the positive, negative battery that we are within our own auric field. The same thing is happening to Earth simultaneously. So our battery pulls in this electromagnetic current, and then we use that to create our reality. We create our reality by using what we receive through the negative charge and creating something through positive charge. Through this process, we are receiving and storing quantum signals, processing these signals, which can be very, very stimulating and activating, especially to the nervous system, and then transmitting them back out into the electromagnetic field, not only of our body, but of the planetary body itself. This, as I'm shown, is the creation process. Your body is a superconducting quantum electromagnetic circuit, or motherboard, if you will, is how I'm seeing it. So a lot of times when I start talking about divine masculine and divine feminine, people think I'm talking in regards to a relationship. But unless I'm telling you that I'm speaking about this in regards to a relationship, I'm talking about the charge, the electromagnetic energy, and the negative, positive battery components within you, your own body, and not a relationship. So if you look at the female anatomy, this battery works in the exact same way. The feminine is the receiver, that's the negative charge, and the masculine is the projector or the creator, and that is the positive charge. To most effectively use our body's positive and negative charge within our auric field, we use what we receive as cosmic energy downloads, upgrades, and quantum signals that we receive to then project and create something. So the feminine part of our battery, the receiver, right? Just like the human body, the feminine is the receiver and the masculine is the projector or creator. Now, I'm not saying feminine don't create. So it's a little bit, some of this sounds very strange, but I haven't gotten to any of the strange part yet. So don't worry, I'll get there. But yeah, so the most effective use of our battery is when we consciously use our negative charge to pull that energy in, and then we consciously use our positive charge or a masculine charge to create or project something. This is what moves and creates the flow we experience in our magnetic field and also in our lives. As the divine feminine aspect of the battery, we receive this energetic shift before the masculine does. We are basically like a converter, okay? Like a circuit breaker that receives quantum code. But the feminine body, as in the receptive or negative charge, receives this before the masculine energy does. At least that's how I'm being shown. That's actually how I've been shown it for, I would say, the last probably 6 years. At times of stronger energetic flow, solar storms, cosmic energy, whatever is in universal flow from out there to in here, affects our nervous system very greatly, and the divine feminine is much more sensitive to this as the initial receptor on the first lines than the masculine. So I don't know if it was New Year. I think it was New Year's Day. I've not been taking really good everyday notes because I've been more focused on assimilating to the other information that's coming in. So New Year's Day or the day after, it was strong. Like the nervous system was shaking. And I noticed when I went out, people were super happy, super friendly, super talkative, or quite the opposite, quite explosive, depending on, how you're taking care of yourself and whether you know what's going on, because I'm sure there's a large part of the population that just feels scattered and aggressive and all kinds of other things. So the divine feminine feels it first. The divine masculine gets it shortly thereafter. The thing about the effect on the nervous system for when the divine feminine is receiving this energy first is that it can sometimes be an overload, okay? And I talked to several people within the last couple of days, and every single person every single female, I should say, experienced the same thing a couple of days ago when this energy started to amp back up to the point where it was bouncing in and around our energetic field and causing a shaking or rattling within the central nervous system. Now, all 4 women that I spoke to rarely drink, and all 4 women drank the night that storm came in, me included. And I talked to Rachel Cathy today. Thank you very much, Rachel, for our amazing conversation. And she was drinking the same night I was, and so were the other 2 people that I contacted. This is a lot. So when it comes in and it's bouncing around and it's that strong within the magnetic field, the feminine body can really, really shake and rock from that. 2 things that I definitely suggest that work better than drinking alcohol. One is taking salt bath and any kind of Epsom salts, any kind of salt. Pink Himalayan salt is actually better for changing the positive negative charge in your body and taking out extra electronic energy from your circuitry. So salt baths. And the other thing is really kind of disengaging from being attached real closely to a phone or computer or laptop or whatever electronics, even even some of the high efficiency washers and dryers as well. It's not like we can stop doing laundry, but when that swarm comes in and you feel the need to drink or do whatever it is. And for me, normally this energy is very easily dealt with for me by simply, walking or swimming or something. But sometimes it is so strong that the feminine is very drawn to alcohol because it does calm the nervous system. The problem with using alcohol in this process are many, but one of them is that we are basically electricity and water, right? So alcohol has a tendency to not mix well in the circuitry when we're receiving quantum signals. That's the thing about that. And like I said, none of us are like major drinkers or anything, but everybody was kind of, everybody that I talked to was kind of drinking that same night. So the thing is, it can get so strong for the feminine that we can overload, need to pause, and then restart, which doesn't have to include alcohol or whatever. You just could feel the exasperated need to lay down or take a rest or pet your dog or whatever it is. But with every power surge comes an incredible amount of information. That's the other thing about drinking too, because I was laying in bed and I was still feeling it. And I was like, if I wouldn't have had 2 glasses of wine, I'd probably be deciphering quantum code right now. But instead, I'm laying here, like kind of stupid, trying to get to sleep instead. So salt baths and limit your electronics or high efficiency appliances in your home just when it initially comes in and you start to feel that your nervous system is shaking. That's definitely a good time to take a break and let yourself relax. So every quantum signal that comes into us must be processed and transmuted. We are, like I said, a battery, but we are a negative positive charge. So we are a masculine feminine charge ball of light within a human body, is essentially what I'm seeing. We are all learning to balance the male and female aspects of receiving and projecting or creating. And again, I'm talking about within one body. I'm not talking about you and another person external to you. Masculine, feminine, positive, negative charge, battery, receiving quantum codes that have to be transmitted and assimilated to and processed by the motherboard, which lives systemically within your human vessel. We can get out of balance in either physical form, whether we're in a male body or a female body, if we're not using our battery as a positive, negative charge together to balance. And what I mean by that, so the divine feminine naturally, look at the body again, we go back to biology for a second. The body of the feminine is the natural receiver, right? So as the natural receiver, you are receiving quantum codes, quantum signals, and all these other, what is the word? Energies that catalyze the direction of our DNA and the infinite connection between our motherboard, our energetic field, and cosmic energy. So, for example, when I'm talking about feminine, the battery, and receiving energy, for the first probably 25 years of my life, I was receiving all kinds of things just like I am now, not to the extent or velocity that I am now, but I've always been an extreme receiver. I can pick up on earthquakes on the other side of the world. I can hear solar flares when they leave the sun before they even get here, things like that. So the divine feminine receiver is a magnet to that cosmic signal, if that makes sense. So for the 20 years that I was sitting around receiving, and I wasn't doing anything with it, okay? And when I say doing something with it, if the feminine body is the receptor and the masculine body is the projector or the creator, then every time I am receiving cosmic signal or whatever, I want to be using something with that. I don't know why this is making me incredibly nervous to the point I'm losing my voice, unless something else is making me lose my voice. I have no idea what that could possibly be. So it's very frustrating not to be able to talk. So if I'm sitting around receiving information and I'm not creating anything with it, my electromagnetic field is getting out of balance. So all of this that I receive, that I channel, that I intute, that I pull down into my physical body is meant to be used to create something with. So I'm not saying every time I get a message that I, go paint or write a book or make a video. But I keep track of all of it, and that is what then becomes the writing or the video. So where we get out of balance for the feminine is we're receiving the cosmic signal, but we're not using something with it. Now, it doesn't mean you have to write or make videos. Some people will take cosmic code and design t-shirts. Some people will take cosmic code and paint horses. We all do different things, but the point is, as the female receiver, when we receive cosmic signal, we are then to turn around and use it to project or create something. That is how our feminine, masculine, positive, negative charge works within our body and within our body's auric field. So the masculine or the feminine can get out of balance, either one of us, if we're not using the positive negative in balance. So if I'm sitting around, for the whole past year, deciphering cosmic code and receiving channeled information or higher self information, yet I'm creating nothing with it, I become unbalanced in my feminine energy. I'm not using my masculine energy to create or project. The same is true for the masculine. So the masculine is going to receive cosmic signals, solar storms, everything. We all receive it the same way, just kind of on a different time scale, maybe is the way to say it. So for the masculine may sit down and create, but then not use that cosmic signal or that code or that trip switch from the energy to create. And I hope this is making sense. I don't feel like it's making sense. That in conjunction with losing my voice is really not helping. The feminine receives the code, the quantum signal, so that she can turn around and create something. The masculine body does the exact same thing because we are both batteries. We are both positive and negative charge. So the feminine wants to use what she receives to create. The masculine wants to use what he receives to create. And what the masculine has a tendency to do is the exact opposite of the feminine, is to use the logical brain to think, I'm going to sit down and draw this thing or create this thing or engineer this thing without using that quantum code. So the creation process or projection process is coming from 3D, not the cosmic energy that we are receiving. In short, the body's function is to receive cosmic signals and then use that cosmic signal to create or project. This is how not only we change our own personal reality and personal life and personal auric field, but it is also how we change the electromagnetic field of Earth. So feminine receives this first. She receives it for herself and the whole of humanity, the collective. Masculine creates for himself and the whole of humanity, the collective. So we are all an auric field with a positive, negative, feminine, masculine battery that is creating our reality and the reality of this planet in every moment. And then the feminine and the masculine also work together. So we as a whole, the feminine and masculine, now I'm speaking about bodies, feminine, masculine bodies work as a whole, as a flux capacitor within ourselves, but we also work as a team with a masculine and feminine energy external to ourselves. And I'm shown that is another way that it works, or how it also works simultaneously, or the macrocosmic extension external of us for how this works is the feminine body stands on Earth and is the one that pulls in the quantum signal first. So the feminine pulls in the energy for the whole of Earth, anchors this energy, transmutes, processes, and then delivers it to the planet herself through the lower part of the body, out the feet. So I'm pulling in, as a female, my divine receptive ability, I'm pulling in cosmic signal. I'm transmuting that cosmic signal, unscrambling that signal, deciphering that signal, and sending it down into earth through my feet. Now, it's just going from top to bottom. Doesn't matter whether you're outside or not. It's just the way that I'm seeing it. So it's the only way I know to explain it. Feminine pulls in the energy for the whole of earth, anchors it, transmutes it, processes it, delivers it down into earth herself. Masculine energy comes along shortly thereafter, pulls the energy, the signal, back up from the earth once earth and sentient life has acclimated to it, and projects this energy, projects this signal back into the Earth's auric or toroidal field. And the two together, the masculine and feminine body, those two together work as a team to change Earth's electromagnetic field, which in turn sends this new energy, this new quantum signal that's now coming from the human and mixed with the earth energy as well. Working together as a team, we send the signal back out. This new energy we've taken into the body, sent it to earth. Masculine pulls it out of earth. The two of us together, masculine and feminine, as a team, take this energy and send it back out into the cosmos as a quantum signal. So we're receiving quantum signal on the macrocosmic level, or the larger overlook or outlook of things, and we're putting this energy back. So we're deciphering quantum signals, sending to earth, pulling them back out to earth, back out of earth, and then projecting them out as a quantum signal, which is then read by the quantum field, interdimensional beings, our friends that are around the earth protecting us. We're sending back out a transmuted cosmic signal that is quantum, that is then being read by the cosmos, the quantum field. Extraterrestrials, interdimensionals are all reading this, and they are using this process. It's a natural process. It's what the human body has always done. But those interdimensionals, those extraterrestrials, the quantum force, the quantum field itself is all gauging how the earth is doing and how the human body is acclimating by the signal that we're sending back out. I hope this makes sense. I hope this makes sense. So when you hear anybody, tarot readers, energy healers, all these people talking about the masculine, feminine energy, they're not talking about your partner external to you, or your family, or any male and female as a separate body. When they are talking about your alignment of your feminine and masculine energy, they're talking about you receiving as an open conduit, processing that quantum signal, and then using that quantum signal and your own creativity, your own heart energy, to then create or project something into the world. This is what is changing the world faster than any documentation, any civil rights movement, anything, is our body's ability as a battery within our own auric field to process information and signals and send a new signal back out to the cosmos. And like I said, hopefully that makes sense to you. I just didn't want you to think I'm saying I'm the female, there's someone else that is a male external to me, that I'm solely working with another person. Again, this is an internal process for every being on this planet, regardless of whether you are in a feminine or masculine body. And I forgot to mention this initially when I got on here, and I really meant to. The amount of people that reached out to me after my last video, which I think was like 10 days ago, was astounding. So thank you for all those people that reached out to me. There were a lot of questions about the last video, but there were also a lot of people that wanted to share experiences or share information that went along with that and stuff. I highly encourage you to put those here. Otherwise, I get a little bit inundated with messages coming from 5 different directions at one time. And I did get a little overwhelmed with that after the last video. But I do appreciate it. It was very helpful, and I'm glad that people were reaching out and corresponding. And the biggest feedback that I got was that so many of you were experiencing what I talked about in the last video. So I'm really glad that you found that video helpful. And it was also the video, and you guys usually do hearts or thank yous or whatever. But the last video, people were writing sentences, and several people wrote a paragraph or more about what their experience was that I was speaking about that night. So thank you for that. And sharing is the way that we assist each other with this information, because this energy and our acclamation to it and that cosmic signal, it's a giant puzzle piece. And I think a lot of times, if I come to you and say something about the masculine and feminine, it's easy. I've been making videos and I don't get nervous like I have been, like I initially was when I first started doing it. But for some reason, this video really did it. I think it was, just all those things, but I have to trust myself and internally process how I see it and how I hear it. And like I said, the words might be right and not be right. The phrases may not be right biologically or scientifically, but it's the way that I'm shown it now. The way we receive is the way that is easiest for us to understand. So a lot of times I talk to people and they've had the same experience, but maybe they didn't see it as a battery, they saw it as something else. But so that's why I try not to put too much attention on words. But if I don't put any attention on words, then it's really hard, obviously, to make a video. So it's really important for us to get balanced. And like I said, I was out of balance for many, many years, because what was I going to do with all this, this information? Initially, I was very overwhelmed and trying to talk about some of these things, but especially when it comes to, like I said, science, biology, quantum physics, any of the things that I've been treading lightly into since 2018. And sometimes I feel ridiculous, but I asked years ago when it started coming to me in this format of information, why am I receiving it and not somebody who understands quantum mechanics or quantum physics or biology? I would assume that person would understand it and be able to articulate it way better than I am currently able to do. But the answer to that was, when you have this degree, this indoctrinated education system, you're not open to trusting what it is. So for me, because the information came through higher self, I just automatically took it as the truth. And like I said, maybe the words or the phrases are not the truth, but I'm seeing it, and I always see it in a way that I can turn around and either write about it or make a video about it, some way that I can express to you what it is that I'm hearing and seeing and feeling. This may possibly be a long video. There were some very interesting things going on that I didn't want to start the video with, because when I get to it, you'll see why. So If there's anything about that that doesn't make sense, I completely understand why that would not make sense. Let me know, reach out to me as you always do to share your experiences, add to that, ask questions, whatever it is you need. Something that's been coming up a lot lately is this voice thing. It's just driving me nuts. I haven't had losing my voice for a really long time, so I'm not getting it. Feeling ourselves versus feeling other people. Soul connections is something I've started about since my absolute very first video that I ever made. And so we'll just dive right back into that again. I know it's a love it or hate it situation for my viewers. But feeling ourselves versus feeling other people. Most feminine people or feminine energies are very connected to their emotions. So let's say I'm walking around for a couple hours that day and I know that my emotions are kind of all over the place, or I've been triggered by something, or I feel emotional, like I feel like I could cry, right? So you're going to feel it coming on, right? Maybe you don't want to cry at the grocery store. Maybe you don't want to cry at the bank. Maybe you don't want to cry while you're running. I've done it many times lately. The feminine especially always knows when it's coming, okay? And the masculine does too, and I don't know to what extent, because I don't know any masculine that's willing to talk about this at the moment. Maybe somebody will step up and like to offer their services. That would be awesome. So let's say I'm feeling emotional at noon, right? And then at like 3 o'clock, I'm still feeling emotional. So when I start crying at 5 o'clock, my emotionality is not a surprise to me, right? I've had it in the back of my mind, or I felt emotional all day. So if I start crying at 5 o'clock, it's not a surprise. So when we're talking about feeling ourselves versus feeling other people, this is what I mean. If I've been in an somewhat emotional or in an emotional state all day, and then I start to cry, I'm not in any surprise that I'm crying. However, I've had so many experiences in the last year where I don't even want to call it mood, we'll call it energetic frequency within my body, which definitely can alter our mood, has shifted dramatically within seconds. So I feel cosmic energy, I feel the neighbor's energy, I feel the energy of my other half, I feel the energy of the trees, I feel the energy of everything. If I'm emotional and I know it's coming on and then it happens, again, I knew it was going to happen. I was in an emotional state or feeling emotional. Within these soul connections, though, the frequency bleeds from one person to another without trying, without talking to them, without looking at them, without connecting on social media, nothing. Okay. And the amount of experiences that I've had in the kitchen in the last year where I'm in there chopping vegetables, making juice, and all of a sudden I'm bawling to the point that I can't chop vegetables anymore, and I certainly can't use a sharp butcher knife. That is my kitchen knife. So how you know whether it's coming from you or someone else depends on your emotional state. If you're emotional and you feel it coming on, you start crying, it's totally expected. If you're happy or blissful or carefree or doing something and all of a sudden you are angry, you're upset, you're crying, and this goes both ways. It's not just negative energy, but I'm just, as an example, feeling ourselves versus feeling other people. I know when I'm emotional. I know when I'm going to cry. I know when I'm going to let it out, right? That's the healthy thing to do. When you are going about your daily activities and out of the blue, in an instant, you're angry or you're sad or you're happy or you're elated, you're turned on, it could be anything. out of the blue, and I'm talking out of the blue, that is coming from another person, a soul to soul connection. So I'm saying feeling ourselves versus feeling other people, you will have a frequency, a vibration, an escalation of emotions that leads you to happiness, to joy, um, whatever it is going on within you. But a lot of times we are experiencing what's going on in the other person and that soul to soul connection. And that's when anger or sexual urge or crying, bliss, anything, any of these emotions can come through. And a lot of times they'll come through as thoughts or they'll come through as words. But right now I'm talking about our own emotionality versus feeling the emotionality of someone else. So when you're spontaneously reactive to a frequency that's coming from a soul connection, that can come completely out of the blue. Like, why am I crying? Or why am I feeling this emotion? Or why am I receiving this kind of signal? So that's something that I wanted to share with you, because it's unbelievable the amount of people were like, oh, I'm just absolutely fine. And all of a sudden, I'm crying, or all of a sudden I feel the urge to do this or do that. And, where is this coming from? That has come up so many times. So that's something I wanted to share with you. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was needing closure in our 3D lives. We are taught as humans to deal with things. We are taught to deal with our paperwork, process our emotions. We are taught that if we're in an argument or fight with somebody, to work until we get to the bottom of it. We're just taught all these things about how we should interact with other people. Okay, so we don't always get that opportunity to have closure in relationships or in situations in life, for a multitude of reasons that you guys are all old enough and emotionally mature enough to understand. Sometimes we just can't get closure, or we're not given closure, or we're not going to receive closure. And I know for me, it's been a really big deal. And I know for several of you, it's been a really big deal to know the how, the why, the when, and the what of what is going on, and when situations end and things like that. So I understand it firsthand, and have been very much going through this for a while now. However, what I want to tell you is needing closure in the 3D life is very, very disempowering to our central energy center. So we're taught to wrap things up, to not have unfinished business. And I know I swore to myself a couple weeks before 2022 is over that I was going to speak my piece and tell people how I felt, and be honest with people. Like, it was like at the end of the year, I felt like there was a little bit of catching up that I needed to do with expressing myself to people for the purpose of closure. And so we may want it, we may try to get it, we may feel that it would be awesome to have it, or imperative to get it, but it can be very disempowering. So sometimes we just have to let things go, let it slide, and let it be what it is. Because when you are standing in your own energetic field and using your positive, negative charge, your male and female aspect to receive and to create, you don't need to do anything, and you don't need to chase anything. I have, mostly through readings, been dealing with a ton of people who have manifested things, and they are not sure how they manifested them. Now, I've not had this happen within the last 6 months of readings. This was the first year I started doing readings. There were so many people that were wondering, well, how could I manifest this when it wasn't the time for this? So I want to explain to you something about thoughts becoming things, okay? when you are a conscious creator or a conscious manifester, you may sit down and say, I'm going to write out a plan. I'm going to write out a goal. I'm going to do this. I'm going to achieve this. And I'm going to take those steps along the way to get in the driver's seat to make those things happen. And that's called conscious manifestation, conscious creation. And I know you guys are aware of that. What happens, though, very often is we are creating things unconsciously or even subconsciously. Okay, so what happens when I sit around and long for something? If I'm sitting around longing for something, we literally will pull in electromagnetically a quest for something that we feel is missing. So outside of conscious creation, making a plan and getting in the driver's seat and bringing it to fruition, we all do it. But we initially we learn to create through creating unconsciously or subconsciously. Okay, so I'm sitting around, I'm longing for something. I pull in this quest for something that I feel that is missing, right? Okay. Without a manifestation technique, without any conscious creation, we're pulling in a manifestation, a longing, a quest to change our lives or change our circumstances. And it's working, and we're doing it without conscious creation. Okay. So the prime example, as to not be too personal here, we'll use the example as a dog. Okay. So you often think about having a dog, how awesome it would be to have a dog. Maybe you feel that the dog is what is actually missing from your life. Okay. Then a dog shows up in your yard or shows up at your front door or shows up in your backyard, and you're like, oh, wow, I've been thinking about a dog and now one is here. But it's not a good time for the dog to be here because I live in a place where I don't have room for the dog, or more than likely it's something like my building allowed 0 pets when I moved in here, and not even a fish. Go figure. So you're sitting around thinking how awesome it would be a dog. I can't wait to have a dog. I'm not going to lease a place again that doesn't have a yard for a dog, or I'm not going to sign a lease that says I can't have a dog. And then that dog materializes. And people are kind of like in this energy, like, well, why would the dog show up now when I can't have a dog? The dog showed up because you're thinking about how awesome it would be to have a dog. Okay. So even though you don't have a plan on paper, and you logistically have not planned out how you're going to get a dog, just thinking about the day when you can get the dog pulls in the dog to your reality. This is the prime example about how thoughts become things. Okay. You may be in a marriage, it's an unhappy marriage. And then maybe you're thinking, wouldn't it be nice to have a partner that liked to do triathlons? Okay. And then all of a sudden you meet this person that likes to do triathlons. You're pulling that in, whatever it is, whatever you feel like you're missing internally in your own life, in your own world, is pulled in, and we create it electromagnetically. And then we wonder why did this triathlon person show up when I'm already married? Or why did the dog show up when my lease says that I can't have animals? Thoughts become things. And if you are missing something, and your thoughts are that you're missing something, and your heart is generating an energy, especially a longing, whether it's for pizza, a dog, the perfect partner, it doesn't matter. You are creating it. So I wanted to let you know that. And because these things show up, and I hear from people, that's unfair that the dog is there, that it's unfair that the perfect partner is there, when I'm already married or whatever it is. But the thing is, if I've wanted a dog my entire life and I'm living somewhere that doesn't allow dogs, I need to get in alignment and live in a place that allows the pet I've always wanted, right? So the reason why you are unconsciously or subconsciously manifesting the dog or whatever else that shows up that may feel inconvenient or like really bad timing for you is because that longing, because you are creating the quest for whatever you feel is missing. And if you're simply thinking about it, you may not make it happen. But if you're putting heart energy into it, you are definitely making it happen because the heart is the flux capacitor of this entire battery, which works the entire magnetic field. So your thoughts are manifesting your reality in every single moment. That is just absolutely the way it is. The last thing that I wanted to talk about, and you'll see why I saved this for last. I've talked to several of you about this, and I talked briefly about this in a video before. There have been many of you who have experienced this, and many of you who will experience this soon. You hear music playing and you don't recognize the music. It's really beautiful, but you can't put your finger on it. What is this composer? What is this song? It's beautiful. I have no idea what it is. That's the first initial thing that your brain or your body experiences. The second one is looking for where that sound is coming from. So the multitude of times this has happened to me, I shouldn't say multitude, it happened about 3 times, and then I finally figured out what was going on. Okay, so first you're like, what is this music? Who is this composer? Where is this coming from? And then for me, I shut anything off in the house that was making noise and walked around to try to pinpoint, is it coming from this room? Is it coming from this room? Where is the music coming from? But when I put that effort into what is this? How does this work? And where is this frequency coming from? It stopped. On the third time it happened to me, I realized that frequency was coming from a music that is being generated from cosmic signal working with our body's supercomputer motherboard and our DNA. This music is internal. We are creating this music. And I know I've talked about it, and many of you have experienced that before, but here's something very different that is now happening to me. So about a week ago, I kept hearing the word poppy over and over again. I was hearing it, and I was also seeing the word poppy. Now, to me, my brain went straight to the floral business because I did that for 26 years, and I was thinking of the red flower that only blooms for like 3 or 4 weeks. That grows all over the United States and many other parts of the world. So seeing and hearing the word poppy, but didn't know why. 48 hours into seeing and hearing the word poppy, I came upon a sign when I was jogging on a telephone pole. And it was not your typical lost cat post either. It had this beautiful glossy print of their beautiful cat, and his name was, and they had quotes, Poppy was the cat's name. And I'm like, Poppy? What does this flower have to do with animals or have to do with cats? Okay, I was not getting that at all. The next day I went out to run, and I was smelling a flower. And like I said, 26 years in the flower business, I could not quite put my finger on what that flower was. At first I thought it was Stephanotis, and then I thought that, no, it smells more like gardenia. No, that's not right. It's not right. What is it? The really strange part is the reaction of the cosmic signal mixing with my DNA was previously causing music is now causing my body to emit some sort of signal in the form of a fragrance. So when I walk, I go like 7-8 miles. I have a regular walk. I have a super duper fast walk. I have I'm in love with the trees walk, and then I have a run as fast as you can. So I run. So I go intermittently between walking, speed walking, running, a slow jog, and a lot of times, to be honest, dancing as well. So I'm never doing the same thing. So last week was the first time that I started running again since I had surgery. And when I started running, I smelled the smell. At first, I thought it was stephanotis. Then I thought, no, it's not stephanotis. It's close, but not quite right. Then I thought gardenia. Nope, it's close, but not quite right. And then so I would stop and I would actually was going like this, like I was physically smelling myself because I wear perfume sometimes. And I thought, well, maybe it's just the perfume lingering in my shirt or something. But the interesting thing is, just like the music, when you stop and look for it or try to figure out what composer it is or anything else, the music stops. It's the same thing with this fragrance the Divine Feminine apparently is now emitting. So when I run, I smell it so strong that it's overwhelming, and it's amazing. It smells amazing. But I would stop and try to pinpoint, what is the smell? Where is it coming from? And I kept thinking, maybe it's coming from remnants of perfume. I don't use hair products. I don't use chemicals or anything with like any kind of anything in it. So there's nowhere it could be coming from other than me. But again, every time I smelled it, I was running, right? So when I'm running, my battery is charging faster. My electromagnetic field is running faster. When I slow down, I can't smell it anymore. When I start running, then I smell it. Then I smell it again. So very, very interesting. So I finally pinpointed that it was a bearded iris, and I thought, well, that's very interesting because the bearded iris and the poppy, both, they have several things in common. Most importantly, they're an extremely short-lived flower as far as bloom time, both of them. They both bloom here between mid-spring and the first week of summer, so just a couple of weeks. So initially I thought the message had something to do with the time frame, the spring equinox, which I definitely, there is a connection here to the spring equinox as well, but it's also an internal message that the body is now, and I know, guys, how this sounds, trust me, and I think that's why I was nervous and losing my voice about doing this video. I know when I wrote these things down how this was going to sound, okay? But I am hearing music that's coming from my body, and now I am smelling something that is also coming from my body and not a product that I put on my body, because I almost talked myself into that. And then yesterday when I was running, I realized, nope, my jacket and everything that I had on had just been washed. There was no way there was any trace of anything on my clothing. And then I put it together with the fact that I only smelled it when my electromagnetic field or my frequency was really sped up. And I slow down and try to solve it in a 3D logical way. It disappears, just like that music disappears. And here's the part that I wasn't going to start off with for very obvious reasons. And thank you again, Rachel, Kathy. I had a multitude of messages, and I was kind of this morning I was sitting down, writing down everything that I had received and receiving more about this video for tonight. When I was done writing it, I went to go get caught up on messages, people I haven't corresponded with, and there was a message from Rachel, Kathy, about our magnetic field, about strengthening and weakening our magnetic field and how it has to do with creation. And then the conversation went on to flowers, and it just kept going and going and going. So thank you again, Rachel, Kathy, and all the people that have reached out to me after the last video and shared these things, because it really helps connect the dots. Now we'll go back to the original message coming through for 48 hours, which was the word poppy. Seeing the word poppy and hearing the word poppy. Now, it wasn't, this has been, I mean, the sign is still up. So I've been seeing that Poppy kitty picture for the last 5 days, but not until I spoke to Rachel today did I understand it. And then I think we weren't on video or anything. We were on video, but I must have turned beet red when I figured it out. And I'm not really that backwards or that prudish. But so today, for the first time, when I saw that cat sign again that said Poppy, I figured it out that Poppy, and I'm not going to say the derogatory word, but cat, make the equation yourself, or pussycat, there you go. This electromagnetic signal working with our male and female battery within our auric field that is for, I only received today for, thank God, for the divine feminine. But within the divine feminine, this electromagnetic energy, this quantum signal is changing something in our hormones and in our pheromones that is then sending a signal out. And it's like we're a lighthouse and we're sending out a signal. We're not chasing after or running after. Everything that is our destiny is being magnetized towards us. And for some reason, just within the last couple of days, the process of magnetizing our destiny into our reality is sending out perfume into the cosmos. I don't know any other way to say it. So I'm sending out this cosmic perfume, which is pulling a certain aspect of my destiny into me. Now, do other people know about this? I have no idea. I talked to Rachel about it today briefly, but Poppy was about growing this divine feminine energy, this petaled, this beautiful divine feminine energy, and inviting the divine feminine energy to bloom, to produce perfume, to produce a fragrance that is sending out a cosmic signal. And it took Rachel saying on a cat sign, and I thought, oh, Poppy, right? Kitty cat, pussy cat, Poppy. Yeah, that was the trip. So I'm like, the divine feminine is sending out a signal. And that signal, the receiving signal that started a couple of days ago, is causing a change within the feminine hormones, within the feminine pheromones, which is then sending out a signal, which I don't know what else to say other than cosmic perfume is what Rachel said when I sent her a message, and was like, oh my gosh, I think, get it. Cosmic perfume, ladies and gentlemen. So, I can imagine what this spring is going to be like. You know what they say about spring anyway. So, divine feminine, no need to chase anything. Your magnetism is what pulls your destiny into you. And the reason that I'm talking about this is so many people are focusing on the information they receive, whether it's channeled messages or interdimensional beings or whatever. And so many people are talking about what is being projected, what is being created in the world at this time. But again, the most effective way that we work with this information is to use in the most beneficial way possible the positive and negative charge of the battery. So if I'm always receiving information, but I'm not sharing it with you, or I'm not painting, or I'm not creating something, anything with it, I become unbalanced in my feminine energy. If the masculine or even a feminine is pushing or cranking out things, creating things without using the quantum signal, then you can get out of balance that way as well. And this is something that I think there's a lot of confusion around positive and negative. And when people talking about the divine masculine and feminine within them, and the divine masculine and feminine energy external to them as well, a lot of people get confused. You are a feminine, masculine ball of electromagnetic quantum signal. You are a battery of female and male, or positive and negative charge within an auric field. So whatever it is you're receiving, you need to create with. That is how we stay in balance. And it's not like we're perfect here. We wouldn't still be here, right? But what I'm saying is, when you're receiving something, that's what you're using to create with. We're using a higher quantum cosmic signal to create with, rather than creating within the construct of the third dimensional mind. Would have been an easier way to say it, I guess. Now that I'm chilled out enough to get my words out, right? So hopefully this makes, I don't know, either it makes sense, or it's entertaining, or something. I hope you got something out of it. It's a complex situation that I see so many people talking about, but it's really simple. You take what comes into your quantum computer and it creates something beautiful, whatever your talent and your skill is to create. And it doesn't matter what it is. All that matters is that we're receiving and creating, and receiving and creating. We want to make sure that we're not receiving and sitting on it without creating. We want to make sure that we are not creating without using that quantum signal. So that's what I wanted to let you know, wanted to share with you. And the last thing I want to say, and again, so many wonderful things came from my conversations with you guys and my conversation with Rachel today, and just be patient with me as far as people reaching out. When I am in the mode of receiving myself, I will not answer my phone. I will not check messages. I don't do it. When I call it working. When I'm working, I don't deal with electronics at all. So thank you for being patient with this process. And it was a lot after the last video. The amount of people reaching out was a lot. So thank you. And also thank you for being patient and me getting back to you on that. And the last thing is, all of us are this, but this message is specifically for the divine feminine. You do not need to negotiate your future. You do not need to negotiate your destiny. You do not need to compromise your future. You do not need to compromise your destiny. You do not need to chase your future or chase your destiny in a physical way. You are a lighthouse. This is important. Divine feminine feels responsible, sometimes feels like the negotiator, the peacemaker, or the one who wants to wrap up unfinished business. Okay, so that is something that's just built into the divine feminine as a whole. Think of yourself as a lighthouse. You're on the shore, you're shining that brilliant light, and that is what brings to the shore what is meant to come to the shore. The lighthouse doesn't go into the ocean looking for boats, looking for people to save, looking for things that need help. It just stands there in an unwaverly fashion on the shore, shining its light. And divine feminine, that's what we should be doing, is standing unwaveringly on the shore and shining our light and building our magnetism, knowing that when we shine that light, when we are that lighthouse, when we work on our own magnetism, our destiny comes to it. You could think of your body and destiny as an electromagnetic conductor or electromagnetic, what's the word I'm looking for? Like super conduit, okay? I work on my body's magnetic field, and that is done through a multitude of ways, but most importantly, right now, using what you receive to create and creating and projecting with the signal that you're receiving, the quantum signal from the universe. That is the biggest way that we work on the energy and the frequency, the vibration, and all that our body's energetic field encompasses. Divine feminine, you are a lighthouse on the shore. You do not need to chase or negotiate or compromise your beauty, your sensuality, your faithfulness, your desire, anything that you feel. We stand unwaveringly upon the shore and shine our light and call that destiny into us. You could look at it like your body is a magnet and your destiny is electric, and together we are an electromagnetic current that magnifies our reality, alters and changes what we experience in our life in a conscious creation way. Wow, 11157. I look forward to hearing from you as always. I love you, and until next time. Thank you so much for being here.